If you're searching for premier neighborhoods in the Cypress area, chances are the beautiful homes of Bridgeland are all over your search results. But choosing a place to live is more complex than just choosing the home itself. So today we're going to cover key information that you need to know about the development and some pros and cons that you can't necessarily Google. Hi, my name is Carolyn Bauerschlag, a local real estate agent right here in the West Houston area, and I've helped hundreds of people just like you relocate from all over our country right to our great city. And if you're thinking about making a move to the area, I would love to add you to our client family. Let's start out with some key important details about Bridgeland. Bridgeland is being developed by the Howard Hughes Corporation, and this started off in 2006. Now, at completion, Bridgeland is supposed to be 20,000 homes, which is utterly massive. For reference, Cinco Ranch is 15,000 homes fully completed, and Bridgeland is supposed to be 5,000 homes bigger than that. Now, Bridgeland is built around nature, and this makes sense to me because the Howard Hughes Corporation is probably best known for developing the woodlands. And so a huge amount of effort has been placed on tree preservation, incorporating natural vegetation or Texas native plants. They're trying to do wildlife preserves. There's a recycled water system that's going on to really give you the feeling that even though you're out in the burbs and you are in a major city, you at least have the feeling of nature and relaxation all around you. Bridgeland also is huge in their amenities that they've already put on the ground. So at this point in time, there are over 70 parks. There are over 5 massive pools that are kind of like water park style pools. There are 4 amenities villages that are already in place. They're developing their own commercial mixed-use retail, restaurant, office space development over close towards the Grand Parkway. There's a ton of schools that are already inside of Bridgeland, right? So this really is designed to be a come and stay kind of place. Now, all of this thoughtful design and all of these wonderful amenities come at a cost, right? So to get your foot in the door in Bridgeland, it's going to cost you about $300,000. And that's not terrible, right, for a beautiful master plan community. And I would say that they have a strong focus on making sure that there's a little bit of something for everyone. So prices at the time of this video in 2026 go all the way up to nearly $3 million. And of course, the price of the home isn't the only thing that you consider when you think about the cost of living, right? The taxes in Bridgeland are somewhat significant. At the time of this video, the tax rate in Bridgeland is anywhere between about 3.01% all the way up to about 3.26%. Now, for a community that's been building for 20 years, I personally was expecting to see the lower end of that tax rate be lower, right? I was expecting to see it somewhere in the 2s. Typically what we see is that as more residents move into an area, they pay off the mud bonds that were raised in order to put all this infrastructure together, and then that tax rate tends to come down. But as it stands today, I would say an easy kind of back of the napkin math, if you're looking at a home in Bridgeland, is to expect your property tax bill to be somewhere around 3% of whatever your taxable or purchase price value is. Now, another thing to know about Bridgeland is that the HOA dues are about $13.80-ish a year. Bridgeland has a bunch of different villages and pockets. Some of those are gated. Some of those have private use amenities. So you'll see some variation in the overall HOA dues, but your buy-in price kind of baseline is going to be $13.85 in Bridgeland for 2026. Another important thing to know, if you're thinking about buying a home in Bridgeland, is that when you purchase, there's something that's called a capitalization fee. That's a one-time fee that you pay to the developer when you purchase. So right now, that fee is 0.5%. So if you're buying a $500,000 home, you're going to cut a check effectively at closing for $2,500 that will go to the developer. Now, that's a one-time fee to you, but that fee doesn't go away. Every time you transact on a home in Bridgeland, that capitalization fee comes up. So someone's got to continue to pay it. Now, those capitalization fees are not certainly for nothing, right? Like they really are for the 250 miles of trail systems that you have, for the beautiful landscaping that you have throughout the neighborhood, the 70 pocket parks, these beautiful resort style pools, all of the amenities villages that are available to you. It really is a beautifully thought out community, but those communities do cost money, and they make sure to scrape that off from you at the time of purchase and then on an ongoing basis. Now, the developments in and around Bridgeland are exciting. For the longest time, what they had was more or less just a tiny little shopping village that was kind of directly across from Cy Ranch High School. It had some workout facilities, some retail, some restaurants. It was cute, but it wasn't big. But within the last year, the announcement was made that Village Green, or Bridgeland's basically own giant commercial space, was starting development. So over towards Bridgeland Creek Parkway at 99, so closer towards the west side of the community, 1,000 acres have been reserved for mixed-use commercial. So that's for office space, it's for retail, it's for grocery stores, it's for dining. And a lot of those places are now announcing and building out. So I personally am a little bit jealous. Bridgeland has an HEB that just opened up at Bridge Creek Parkway and or Bridgeland Creek Parkway and 99. But there's another HEB that's only 3 miles away, and that one also is a really good HEB. So if you're moving into Bridgeland, you've got 2 fabulous HEBs right in your backyard. And a lot of exciting restaurants like higher end, like Jonathan's The Rub just opened up. They've got a little Sweet Paris. It's like a creperie that just opened. And a lot more restaurants are coming in as well. So that is a really exciting change for the community. 2024, it's been 18 years and Bridgeland's finally getting their own giant commercial area. Now, another important thing to know about Bridgeland is that it is, of course, the schools that ultimately make a community great. And the majority of Bridgeland, as I mentioned previously in the video, is Zone 2 Cy-Fair ISD. The easiest way to describe this is that the majority of Cy-Fair school zoning is going to be on the inside or the east side of the Grand Parkway. Right now, Bridgeland has 4 Cy-Fair elementary schools, 1 junior high, and 1 high school, Bridgeland High School, that are all zoned to that neighborhood. Now, on the west side of 99, most of these homes in Bridgeland are going to be zoned to Waller ISD. Waller ISD right now is experiencing some pretty massive growing pains. Waller is exploding. It's got Hockley up on the north side. You've got kind of the Cypress-esque area on the northwest side. And Waller ISD is having a really hard time keeping up with the demand. Now, fortunately, Bridgeland did get a brand new elementary school within the neighborhood that just opened up, but it is zoned to the junior high and the high school that already exist and have been around forever, right? So there's kind of a bottleneck here at the secondary level that I think is going to be a bottleneck for many, many years to come. So if you're purchasing in Bridgeland, don't just assume that the house is going to be zoned to these top-notch Cy-Fair ISD schools. I think Waller will do fine in its own right in time, but I think the time aspect may not be what every buyer has. Now, keep in mind, too, that home values vary according to the school district. So if you are purchasing a home that's going to be zoned to Waller ISD, I would expect that to be more affordable or a little less expensive than the areas that are already proven out and zoned to those Cy-Fair schools. If you need help figuring out where those differences are and how to parse them out, I know your friendly neighborhood realtor can help you do exactly that. So I promised you some pros and cons, so let's touch on the first pro. When you live in Bridgeland, you are truly in a luxury bubble. The developers are smart and they want to attract you and they want you to stay. They don't want you to sell your house and leave. They want you to sell your house if you grow out of it and buy another home in Bridgeland. And what they've done is they've made sure to build community fully around this neighborhood. If you need daycare centers, there's like 3 or 4 of them that are in your backyard. There's Pilates, there's weightlifting, there's regular gyms, there's restaurants, dining, coffee shops, medical, all in and around your exact area. Children's programming, sports, dance studios, all of that is also right around Bridgeland as well. People love the schools. They love that they don't have to really get on major roads in order to get their children to elementary or junior high or high school, right? And that really is a huge draw, I would say, to the long-term success of Bridgeland. Another major pro of living in Bridgeland is that the community has already proven out from a long-term appreciation perspective. Now, I can't overstate the importance of this, right? A lot of the hemming and hawing or uncertainty that people feel whenever they're buying in a new construction area is they say, well, how do I know that I'm not overpaying for this home and that values are going to collapse underneath me? And that's a really legitimate concern and thought to have. Now, Bridgeland has been in production since 2006, and because of all of these wonderful things that we've just covered, people like to come to Bridgeland and they like to stay. So we have basically anywhere from a few years to up to 20 years worth of data to show that people love Bridgeland and will continue to pay increased prices over time to be in this immediate area. Now, that's not necessarily true in every set of circumstances. We've seen certain neighborhoods, let's say, start off and then maybe raise their prices or something unfavorable happens in and around it and you start to see those values backslide. but I can say in the time that I've had the pleasure of selling real estate, which is about 12 years, we've seen Bridgeland kind of be an evergreen favorite. And you can't have pros without some cons. So I would say the main con that I think of when I think of Bridgeland is that it is expensive to live here, right? So I touched on this previously, but your buy-in price as it stands today in February of 2026 is about $350,000. And that's going to be for, about a 2,000 square foot home built 20 years ago. It's going to probably need a little bit of a facelift. 370, 400,000. It's not hard to get there quick if you're trying to buy a home in Bridgeland. Now, I ran some numbers just because I was curious and I wanted to see where kind of the median was. And if you just look at a top-down report and for a year's worth of data, the median price in Bridgeland is about $650,000. And that median gets you a 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 3-car home that's about 3,200 square feet. So $650,000 is certainly nothing to sneeze at. The good news is that it is a substantial home. It's not a little cracker box for you to live in. But when you think about $650,000 for a moment, and we tag back to the fact that the tax rate at the lowest without exemption is about 3%, what you're talking about is a tax bill that could very easily be $18,000, $19,000. Now, the exemption will knock that back a bit by a few $1,000s for most homeowners. But $18,000, $19,000, even $15,000 for a property tax bill is a large chunk of change. And I also mentioned to you that there's a capitalization fee, right? So when you buy into Bridgeland, you're paying that developer, even on a resale home, 0.5% of whatever the purchase price is. So on that same $650,000 example, we're talking about a $3,000, $3,200 fee that you're just going to cut and hand right over to the builder. Now, a second con of living in Bridgeland, and this is my personal bias, right? Take it or leave it, but a second con in my mind is going to be the location. Now, fortunately for Bridgeland, it is closer to 290 than some of the other communities that are up and down that Grand Parkway corridor. But your main sort of egress, ingress, if you want to go fast, is going to be the Grand Parkway. The Grand Parkway is a toll road between I-10 and 290. So for me, I would find it less than thrilling to pay a toll every time I wanted to get to 290. Now, the good news about Bridgeland, though, is that there are plenty of north-south roads to get out of the community that are not a toll road, right? So you have Mason Road, you have Fry Road, and those will all take you to 290, and they also will take you all the way down to I-10. It's just going to take you a lot more time. So for folks living in Bridgeland, I would expect them to say, I work in the energy corridor, or I work in the Galleria area, or I work sort of on the west side. I wouldn't necessarily hear that and say someone's going to have a good time getting downtown. So if commuting is a substantial consideration for you, and let's say you don't want to pay a toll every time you want to go 60 miles an hour, I would put that in my back pocket for what Bridgeland is going to bring for you. Another thing that you need to know that I think is going to be a con, at least for a few years, it is that that same stretch of toll road is going to be under construction beginning in 2026. So sometime in the middle of 2026, from I-10 to 290 on the Grand Parkway, they're going to be expanding it. And this expansion is supposed to take somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.5 years. It definitely will make it better once it's done, but it's going to be a pain point for you to not only pay, but then sit in traffic to get where you need to go. If you're thinking about making a move to the West Houston area, I would love to be your realtor. Make sure to check the description below to see my phone number and email and the best way to connect. And if you found value in what you saw here today, make sure to click the link below and subscribe because we put content like this out every single week. See you soon.